Hello, welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to see how to compute a single state multiple times. And what we're going to do is we're simply going to increase its occurrence in the state table to accomplish this. I'm going to make a copy of our last project. Paste this over here. I'll call this state machine. This is number 3 over here. And open. Right, so we have our state table up here, and the state table index 1 is for state A, index 0 actually is for state A, index B, index 1 is for state B, and index C, index 2 is for state C. Sorry about that. So now I want to execute state A much more than, let's say, state C. So what I'm gonna do is I'm simply gonna call state A here again, state A function, like this, and I could say, okay, I'll call state A function here, and I can call it, sorry about that, I'll call it a third time. Right, and everything else remains the same. Okay, let's build our project and see what we have. Download onto the board, go to Teraterm, I'll reset my board. Okay, 2 seconds ago. Of course, the next one is going to be, let's see. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, it's still here. Okay. Oh, you know what happened? So we've got to change the arrangement a bit. Remember, when we jump from state A over here, state A is only executed. State A is executed. 2 conditions have to be established for state A to be executed. The current state has to be state A, and the clock has to be equal to 2. So when we perform our first execution here for state A, okay, clock is 2, but we change current state to state B, and besides, clock moves on. So those conditions aren't met, although in our state pointer here, in our table here, we are trying to point to a different state. It's not met. That is why we have this this situation going on there. Okay, no problem. Okay, rather than do it step by step, let's say we want to execute state A, state B. I'm just gonna do it all at once here because I wanted to show you just state A and then add more of state B, but because we would end up fixing our state functions, I'll just show you all of it. Let's say we want to execute state A, state B, and then we come back here, we say state A again, state A function, and then perhaps state B function after state C here, such that the ratio of ABC becomes 3:2:1. I'll say state B function over here, like this. So we have about 6 of them now. We have, yeah, exactly 6 of them. State A is executing 3 times, state B is executing twice, and state C is executing once. And we can go to our state function and perform a bit of augmentations here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we simply going to, rather than jump from state A, B, and C, now we're simply going to go we're going to perform our execution according to the arrangement order in our state table. So we can just increment the state. I'll say state plus plus. That's all I'm gonna do. Go to the next state in the state table essentially. So this becomes state plus plus as well, and there's the last one here, and it also becomes state plus plus like this. Right, so we just go to the next state in the state table, and what I'm going to do is, because the clock is going to be running, we can decide not to reset the clock. And if we don't want to reset the clock back to 0, we can just use the modulus operator over here, such that I'll just say if clock modulo 2 is true, then you execute this. If clock modulo 5 is true, then you execute state B. If clock modulo 9 is true, then you execute state C. Right, in our main function, what we're going to do is we're going to check if the maximum number of states is executed. If that's the case, then we reset back to 0. So I'm gonna come up here and say define. I'll say max state over here. I'll use caps, and maximum number of states is 6. We know that from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So come over here, and I can come here and say if current state equals max state, then we simply want to set current state back to 0. Remember, current state is the index of the state table. Comparison of constant 6 with expression of state type. Okay. And our current state variable, we don't need it to be of type state anymore. It can simply be a uint8 underscore t. We can start it by initializing it to 0. Then yeah, so over here we can delete this. Right, so let's build and see what we have now. Click over here to build. Click here to download onto the board. And I'm gonna go to TerraTerm. I'm gonna reset my board. I want to clean first. Edit, clean screen, reset the board. Let's see. It seems my TerraTerm froze, so I'm gonna rebuild again, download onto the board. Rebuild, download onto the board, open TerraTerm. It's running now, so when we get to TerraTerm we need to reset the board. I'll click this and I'll press to reset my board, and this is what we have. So we got state A, execute state A again, state B, state A, state C, and then state B, state A, B, A, C, B, and so on and so forth. So this is how we can achieve a form of fixed execution or fixed scheduling by just arranging them in a state table like this in the order in which we want it to execute, and then we can just toggle, or we can just use the indices of this table to grab the state that we want to execute. So there's a form of scheduling. Right, so that's all there is for this lesson. If you have any questions at all, or there's something you do not understand, just let me know. You can send me a message or leave your question in the Q&A area, and I shall see you in the next lesson. Have a nice day. Before we conclude with this lesson, what I would like us to do actually is to initialize this clock back to 0, because if we leave this to run for a long time, the clock variable here, this int 8 variable, oh, this is a very small variable, the clock would overrun after 255. When it gets to 255, let's see, it's an int. Okay, well, it's a large variable, but it's going to overrun. It's going to sort of hit its limit, and there will be no more increment because the variable will hit its limit. So ideally, what would be good is to make clock here equals to 0, so that when we come here, we can reset clock back to 0. Right, so let's build and confirm that it's still working the way we expect it to. I'll click here to build. Okay, I'll go to Teraterm. I'll press to reset my board. Okay, it's working the same way. Right, okay, so that's all there is, and I shall see you in the next lesson. Have a nice day.